I'll tell you what you do. You just take them dang old spark plugs out, and then that little hole you just it's like it go boom, boom, just like that.
Well, I wish it were that simple, Boomhauer. Okay, I'm looking for a tap and die and some WD-40.
What is it that you're trying to do?
I'm trying to buy a tap and die and some WD-40.
I thank my father for all the tricks he played on me. He taught me the most wonderful lesson a child can learn. Never trust nobody.
Wimitanye, Texas, Wimitanye.
Would you guys just shut up?
Mister, you wake up!
Ha! That was a test.
King of the Hill is an American animated sitcom created by Mike Judge and Greg Daniels for the Fox Broadcasting System. Judge began creating King of the Hill during his time making the MTV series Beavis and Butthead, which he also created and voiced. After pitching the pilot to Fox, Judge was paired with Greg Daniels, an experienced writer who previously worked on The Simpsons. The series ran from January 12, 1997 to May 6, 2010. It centers on the Hills, an American family in the typical city of Arlen, Texas. The main character, Hank Hill, works as assistant manager at Strickland Propane. He is the everyman and general protagonist of the series. Hank is friends with other residents on his block, Bill Dotrieve, Dow Gribble, and Jeff Boomhauer, all of whom he has known since elementary school. The show attempts to maintain a realistic approach, seeking humour in the conventional and mundane aspects of everyday life. As the series went on, Judge and Daniels reduced involvement with the show, and this resulted in the series turning more formulaic. Fox insisted that the series lacked character development or story arcs. Judge and Daniels had managed to develop minor arcs and story elements throughout the early years of the series, such as Luannes becoming more independent and educated after Buckley's death, and the aging of characters being acknowledged, which was a rare narrative occurrence for an animated series. By season 7, John Alschuler and Dave Krinsky, who had worked on the series since season 2, took it over completely. Lacking Judge and Daniels' supervision, the series ceased aging its characters and even began changing characters' backstories. In the episode A Rover Runs Through It, Peggy's mother was abruptly changed from a neurotic housewife with whom Peggy shared a competitive relationship to a bitter rancher whom Peggy had been estranged for years. In 2009, Fox abruptly announced that King of the Hill had been cancelled. The cancellation coincided with the announcement that Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy and American Dad, would be creating a Family Guy spin-off called The Cleveland Show, which would take over King of the Hill's time slot. On August 8, 2017, it was revealed that Judge and Daniels had talked with Fox executives about a potential revival. In a March 19, 2018 interview with Rotten Tomatoes, Judge said he wanted the revived series to include aged characters such as an older Bobby. On March 20, 2020, Daniels revealed that he and Judge had an idea for the reboot. Daniels stated, "We do have a plan for it and it's pretty funny, so maybe one day." On March 17, 2021, writer Brent Forrester stated that a reboot is currently underway, stating in a tweet, "I'm sure Greg Daniels and Mike Judge will murder me for sharing this, but hell yes, they're in hot negotiations to bring back King of the Hill." For this retrospective, I will be looking at season 1 of King of the Hill, giving a brief summary of each episode and a couple of interesting facts from that episode. Pilot. Strickland propane salesman and family man Hank Hill is accused of beating his son Bobby after Bobby gets a black eye from getting hit in the face with a baseball during a Little League game.
Hey, don't look at me! Keep your eye on the ball! Stop looking at me, boy! Watch the ball!
Can't hear you, Dad.
And rumours spread that Hank beat up a teenage Megalomart employee when he really just yelled at him for not knowing if the store sells a tap and die and some WD-40.
He sure has a temper, doesn't he?
Sure does. Makes you wonder who gave his boy that black eye.
Meanwhile, Hank's friends, conspiracy nut Dow Gribble, down-and-out army barber Bill Dotrieve, and fast-talking womanizer Jeff Boomhauer try to fix Hank's truck, while Luann Platter, Hank's niece, moves in with the Hills after her parents get sent to jail over a domestic disturbance. In this episode, Luanne is shown to be a gifted mechanic. However, in the rest of the series, she's portrayed as a dumb blonde with no mechanical aptitude. Mike Judge described his original conception of Hank Hill as a foghorn leghorn type. Episode 2, Square Peg. Peggy is mortified and tongue-tied when she finds out that she has been chosen to teach the middle school sexual education class.
Look, here's a chapter on communicating your needs to your love partner.
While Hank does everything he can to keep his son from learning about sex. Peggy tells Luanne that she never kissed a boy until she was 20 years old and that he had since died, indicating it was not Hank. But in later episodes it is shown that Peggy and Hank began dating in high school. This episode shows the first appearance of Hank's workplace, Strickland Propane. Episode 3, The Order of the Straight Arrow. Hank, Bill, Dale and Boomhauer take Bobby and his friends on an Order of the Straight Arrow camping trip where the men send the boys to snipe hunt, during which Bobby stuns a whopping crane, which everyone believes is dead. Meanwhile, Peggy sneaks out to buy special shoes for her large feet. This episode is dedicated in the memory of Victor Aaron, original voice of John Redcorn, who died 5 months after this episode was recorded. The first of many times we hear about Peggy's large shoe size. This time she drives several towns over to a shoe store specialising in larger women's sizes. Episode 4, Hank's Got The Willies. Hank is worried that Bobby does not have a normal role model in his life, and things get worse when Bobby accidentally hits Hank's idol, Willie Nelson, with a golf club during a day on the green.
Was he bleeding from the ears?
No.
Well, he must be okay then.
In this episode, Hank says he wants to go on tour with Willie Nelson, cut an album and open up a chicken franchise. The latter is most likely a reference to Kenny Rogers, who opened a restaurant chain called Kenny Rogers Roasters. The chain no longer exists in America, but oddly enough still exists in the Philippines. The man that Boomhauer is talking to, who speaks similarly to him, is supposed to be Bob Dylan, who has in the past toured with Willie Nelson.
Tell you what, man, you did that dang old Mr. Tambourine man talk about did come change your name Zimmerman, y'all born again.
Well, a whole bunch of kids coming around denim, going platinum. Who knows, accounting firms and heck.
Episode 5, Luannes Saga. When Buckley breaks up with Luanne and Luanne goes on a days-long crying jag, Hank sets out to find Luanne a new boyfriend in 48 hours, which backfires when Hank sees Luanne with Boomhauer.
But while you're under my roof, I'm your landlord, and as your landlord, I forbid you to date Boomhauer.
In one scene, Hank is seen in his garage trying to make noise to block out Luanne's crying. However, there is a window that looks out into the yard and into a window on the left that belongs to a den. This room is never seen again. This is the first episode to show Boomhauer's Dodge Super Bee, as opposed to his green truck. Episode 6, Hank's Unmentionable Problem. Hank's ongoing constipation causes great concern for Peggy, and much to Hank's embarrassment, everyone else in Ireland.
I thought you were constant.
Where would you get such an idea? Anyway, that's not something you should ever know about your father.
This was one of the few times that Hank does a PSA at the end of the episode. During closing credits, he speaks directly to the audience, apologising for the nudity, and references the Fox channel.
If any of you were offended by my body, I'm truly sorry.
Dr. Morley fails to instill confidence in his knowledge as a physician when he tells Bobby that Hank's intestine will go all the way around the planet if laid out in a straight line, which Hank accurately surmises would be impossible. Episode 7, Westy Side Story. When a new Laotian family moves in next door, problems ensue when the new neighbour's family dog goes missing, and the Hills fear that the stereotype about Asians eating dogs is true.
Dad, look! Ladybird and Doggy like each other.
Of course they do, son. They're neighbors.
Despite getting mad at Peggy and Bobby for eating charcoal cooked hamburgers in Hank and the Great Grass Elevator, Hank seems fine with Peggy, Bobby and himself eating Khan's charcoal cooked burgers.
Please, Khan, you're burning them. That's too much char.
In the French-Canadian version of this episode, Khan says that he has lived in New Brunswick over the past 20 years. Episode 8, Shins of the Father. Hank's brash, sexist, war veteran father, Cotton Hill, crashes Bobby's 12th birthday party and uses it as his excuse to stay over at the Hill's house.
Bobby, you are too young to own a firearm, honey.
Did you see that, Hank? Tell your woman to give him back his gun.
Which does not sit well with Peggy when Cotton's misogyny begins rubbing off on Bobby.
Hey, Missy, how about some sandwiches?
Bobby appears to hate Cotton in the beginning of the episode, as opposed to the rest of the series when he loves and adores him. Additionally, the opposite applies to Hank, who appears to love and adore Cotton in this episode, as opposed to being annoyed and uncomfortable with him for the rest of the series. Cotton is shown to be very astute by recognizing Khan's ethnicity as Laotian, whereas everyone else assumes Khan is either Japanese or Chinese. Episode 9, Peggy the Boggle Champ. Hank's promise to coach Peggy at the Texas State Boggle Championship is jeopardized when his buddies try to lure him away with the 9th annual Dallas Mower Expo.
Alright, Peggy, I replaced my watch battery, ate a Cinnabon, and bought a P-trap. I can't kill any more time. Let's go.
Meanwhile, Bobby and Luann freak out when they leave a condensation ring on the new coffee table, but their efforts to fix it cause even more problems. Bobby sliding across the floor in his underwear after Hank and Peggy leave is a parody of a scene from the Tom Cruise movie Risky Business.
What are you watching?
Risky business?
Sissy Cobb, who even dons Hollywood-style sunglasses during her first appearance, looks a lot like Hollywood actress, Dallas native Robin Wright. Episode 10, Keeping Up With Our Joneses. When Bobby catches Hank smoking a cigarette in a gas station bathroom.
Didn't you read this? Cancer, heart disease, emphysema.
I thought those were the ingredients.
Hank pushes him by making his son smoke an entire carton, but the plan backfires when Bobby, Hank and Peggy all become addicted.
For God's sakes, Bobby, why are you holding your cigarette like some kind of European Nazi in the movie? Whatever you do, you should do right, even if it's something wrong.
A scene written for the episode, but not aired, featured Bobby meeting up with a bunch of anti-smoking kids who get him to go into a store to buy cigarettes to see if the shop owner enforces the smoking age limit. When the shop owner fails and Bobby gets the cigarettes, he runs away with them with the kids chasing after him. While this scene never aired, it is included as a deleted scene in the Season 1 DVD box set. This was the second time a character does a public service announcement over the end credits. Boomhauer delivers an anti-smoking message and rambles on about Robert Downey Jr. and secondhand smoke.
Y'all listen up, man. This Boomhauer. Let your lungs on air. Let your lungs on smoke. See the difference, man? Robert Downey Jr. even worse, man, yo.
Episode 11, King of the Anthill. After telling Dale never to spray insecticide on his lawn again, Hank's expensive new lawn becomes mysteriously infected with fire ants days before Rainy Street celebration. Meanwhile, Bobby becomes the hypnotized servant for the Red Ant Queen. In this episode, it seems as though Bobby knows that Dale is not Joseph's real father. He asks Joseph, "You mean Dale Gribble's truck?" However, it's never mentioned again. Contrary to the episode, fire ants do not cause significant damage to St. Augustine grass. Episode 12, Plastic White Female. Bobby is invited to his first boy-girl party and Peggy is horrified when she discovers him playing spin the bottle with one of Luann's plastic beauty school heads.
You must have got it wrong. Maybe he just fell on it or something.
This is your fault.
Don't point your finger at me, woman. You're the one who parks him in front of the TV and makes him watch all them Muppets. They got frogs kissing pigs. What the hell did they think was gonna happen?
Ladybird is shown to be sleeping outside at night in one scene. This is the only episode in the series where she does so at night. This is the last episode in which Peggy wore white socks with her shoes. In later episodes, she doesn't wear them anymore. It is the last episode where her shirt is grey instead of green.
Good night.